This guy is Su Hong. One random day, purely by accident, he ended up catching the attention of a god and was unexpectedly blessed with a strange system. Through it, he could learn martial skills, track his progress, and slowly grow stronger. Now the scene has shifted to the present where a young man named Su Hong practices his Vajra fist. A fellow student marvels at his improvement, asking if he has already reached the coveted micro-level in martial arts mastery. Su Hong confirms he broke through 2 days ago. The student, impressed, declares that no one in the class can match Su Hong's Vajra fist and decides to head home, leaving the cultivation maniac to his training. As Su Hong prepares to leave, his teacher, Lee, stops him. The teacher's expression is serious as he brings up the 30,000 registration fee for the martial arts department, reminding Su Hong that the deadline is next Monday. Su Hong asks for a few more days, but the teacher can only sigh, explaining that while he knows Su Hong's family is struggling, the rules are absolute. Left alone in the empty training hall, Su Hong is crushed by the weight of the 30,000 fee. He remembers his past. His parents died in a ferocious beast disaster when he was just 3, leaving him in the care of his aunt and uncle. They discovered his talent for martial arts and have fully supported his training ever since, hoping it would lead to a high-income profession in their dangerous world. He feels a pang of guilt, realizing that his dream is making their lives even harder. Returning home late, he overhears his aunt and uncle discussing their finances. They decide the rent can wait. Paying for Su Hong's registration fee is the priority. His aunt says she will get another job, while his uncle suggests stopping his own medication to save money, insisting that little Hong's talent is too great to hold back. Overwhelmed with guilt, Su Hong enters the room. They fuss over him, telling him to rest. In his room, he lies awake, tormented by their sacrifices. He resolves that he must solve this problem himself. There is only one place a martial artist can earn that much money in just a few days. The next day, Su Hong arrives at the underground martial arena. An announcer's voice booms, welcoming the audience to a place where only victory and defeat matter. Life and death are irrelevant. She introduces the reigning champion, a hulking fighter wearing a red mask, known as Mr. Minotaur. The announcer tells the newcomer to show some passion and heat up the atmosphere. She whispers for him to provoke the crowd, explaining that rookies are troublesome. Taking the cue, Su Hong roars, declaring himself invincible against anyone below the level of a true martial artist and calling all weaklings to come and fight. The crowd erupts in a frenzy, shouting for his death. The first match begins. Su Hong believes his Vajra fist is enough to win a few rounds and collect the tuition fee. His opponent rushes in, but Su Hong calmly notes his strong momentum but unstable lower body, seeing an easy win. A single, powerful blow sends the challenger flying. Without pausing, Su Hong calls for the next opponent. The announcer declares the first victory for Minotaur. His second opponent is more formidable. The two trade blows and Su Hong feels the man's strong fist force, but knows his own is greater. He spots a critical opening when his opponent puts too much force into his upper body, leaving his waist exposed. Su Hong seizes the chance and ends the fight in a flash. After a third consecutive win, a well-dressed man watching from a private VIP seat, he remarks that the kid is unusual, his strength far exceeding an average martial apprentice. The man decides Su Hong is perfect for match-fixing and sends his subordinate, a fighter in a White Fox mask called White Fox, to take care of him. He warns White Fox not to reveal that he is a true martial artist. One victory away from the 60,000 prize, Su Hong is shocked when his final opponent is revealed to be White Fox, a known quasi-martial artist. He knows the match will be difficult, but he cannot afford to lose. The bell rings and the final match starts. Knowing his cultivation realm is lower, Su Hong attacks first with all his might. But White Fox stops his punch with ease. The terrifying power behind the block stuns Su Hong, who realizes his opponent isn't a quasi-martial artist at all. He's a true martial artist who deliberately suppressed his vitality. Before Su Hong can react, White Fox unleashes a devastating Thunder Rush fist, leaving him bleeding and broken. White Fox taunts him, asking why he only defends. Su Hong struggles to withstand the onslaught, knowing he will lose if it continues. He desperately searches for an opening to counterattack, but the barrage is too intense. His consciousness begins to fade. Standing over the defeated Su Hong, White Fox informs him that he won't receive a single cent of the prize money. However, his teacher invites Su Hong to join them. If he agrees to fix matches for them in the future, they will pay him the prize for this match. Burning with indignation, Su Hong refuses to do such a shameless thing and accuses them of being unworthy of the title of martial artist. Enraged, White Fox declares his intention to cripple Su Hong, ensuring he could never become a martial artist in his dreams. As the crippling blow descends, visions of his family's sacrifices flash through Su Hong's mind. He cannot let their efforts go to waste. He thinks of his promise to give them a good life and screams that he will never accept a future of failure. A system window materializes before his eyes, asking what he is willing to sacrifice for his family. With a final, desperate roar, he bellows, "Everything!" With a defiant roar of everything, Su Hong's world vanishes. He finds himself in a dark, empty space, wondering where he is. A colossal, radiant, winged being materializes before him, and with a flash of light, he's thrown backward. A translucent blue screen flickers to life in front of him, a status window displaying his attributes and martial skills. He notices a tab labeled Mission and instinctively taps it. The system reveals the Way of the Arena mission, to polish his martial arts and defeat the White Fox waiting in the outside world. The objective is to upgrade his Vajra fist to the mastered level and his other skills to the micro level. It's a beginner's mission with no reward, but promises to unlock a guide. Suddenly, a perfect clone of himself appears and attacks with a flawless, textbook-quality Vajra fist. Su Hong realizes this isn't an enemy, but the ultimate role model. He eagerly engages, seizing the chance to learn from a perfect version of himself. As they spar, a progress bar for his Vajra fist proficiency jumps from 7% to 10% in moments. He understands that this mysterious space allows for rapid skill upgrade. He fights with renewed determination, his skills advancing at an unbelievable rate. In what feels like an eternity of intense combat, his floating light palm and void step reach 100% and evolve to the micro level. Finally, his Vajra fist also hits its peak and breaks through to the mastered level. Exhausted but triumphant, he gives a grateful nod to the clone as it dissipates. A notification congratulates him on completing the mission and asks if he agrees to return to reality. He accepts. Time snaps back into motion in the arena. White Fox, his attack halfway to completion, sneers at Su Hong's mysterious glowing aura and strikes with his Thunder Rush fist. But now the attack seems laughably slow. Su Hong dodges with ease and lands a single, devastating punch that knocks White Fox out cold. The entire stadium falls into a stunned silence. Su Hong walks calmly to the dumbfounded announcer and asks when he will receive his prize money. Jolted back to reality, she hastily declares Minotaur the winner of the 60,000 grand prize. In the VIP suite, the arena boss is in disbelief. He questions how a mere martial apprentice could possibly master the Vajra fist, a feat beyond most true martial artists. He furiously orders his men to follow Su Hong and uncover his true identity. Su Hong leaves the arena, sensing he's being followed. He slips into the dark alleyways, his movements fluid and sure, easily losing the thugs tailing him. An hour later, he arrives home and places the stacks of cash before his astonished aunt and uncle, who ask if he robbed a bank. Su Hong smoothly lies, explaining that the master of a dojo where he sparred was so impressed by his talent that he decided to sponsor his studies. His aunt remains skeptical, but his uncle proudly declares that their boy would never lie to them. Later, on the roof, Su Hong looks at his system window with a grin. His family's financial troubles are solved. The system notifies him that by defeating a higher-level opponent, he has earned 67 martial value points, which can be used to increase his vitality. He immediately pours points into it, and his vitality stat climbs to 90, elevating him to the rank of a quasi-martial artist. He feels a surge of power and decides to use all the remaining points. As his strength skyrockets, the wounds from his fight completely heal. Feeling an endless reserve of new power, he heads to the deserted school drill ground to test his limits on a combat power tester. Deciding to start with just 70% of his strength, he winds up and throws a punch. The machine instantly overloads, smoke starting to come out of it, and shatters. He mutters about the tester's poor quality, hoping he won't have to pay for it, before quickly fleeing the scene. Moments later, a furious groundskeeper arrives, screaming about which bastard broke his equipment and vowing to punish the usual suspects. In the gymnasium of Star City No. 1 High School, students were buzzing with gossip. The main topic was Chen Shan, who had been beaten up after smashing a tester machine the previous night. A student explained that Chen Shan had been punished by the principal and forced to take the blame because he refused to admit to his actions. Their chatter was interrupted by the principal, who introduced his old comrade in arms, a Tier 3 martial artist named Chen Tian. The guest instructor announced he was there to teach everyone a C-rank martial art, the Thunder Rush Fist, and expected them all to learn it well. Hearing this, the protagonist, Su Hong, became determined. He knew that learning such a technique outside of school would cost a fortune, and he resolved to seize this rare opportunity. The instructor, Chen Tian, declared he would demonstrate the fist 10 times, and how much the students learned would be up to them. As the students marveled at seeing a Tier 3 martial artist for the first time, Su Hong recalled that this was the same technique the White Fox had used. Chen Tian began his demonstration. He explained that at the basic level, the Thunder Rush Fist emits a single sound of thunder. Mastery progressed through levels. 3 sounds for proficient, 5 for micro-level, 7 for mastered, and a full 9 sounds for the perfect realm. He advised the students to aim for just the basic level for today. Hours later, the students were exhausted and dejected, finding the C-rank art far too difficult to learn. Suddenly, Chen Shan, the school's top genius, successfully executed a punch with a single thunderous sound, reaching the basic level. The principal proudly pointed him out to Chen Tian, asking if he was interested in mentoring the boy. However, Chen Tian was unimpressed, remarking that in other cities, this was merely a passing grade. He lamented that the students were not up to his standards. As the two men walked away, Chen Tian commented on the cruel nature of martial arts, where talent was far more important than hard work. Just then, they were stunned by the sound of a 7-sound Thunder Rush Fist. A student had reached the mastered level after just half a day of practice. Chen Tian's shock turned to disbelief as he realized it wasn't 7 sounds, but 9. Someone had achieved the perfect realm. He urged the principal to help him find this prodigious student, but by the time they rushed back, the individual was gone. In the aftermath, Chen Tian was ecstatic. Witnessing the perfect technique had given him a sudden inspiration, allowing him to break through to the 8-sound level himself, a feat he thought he might never have achieved in his lifetime. Elsewhere, Su Hong walked away, reflecting on how exhausting the C-rank skill was. A look at his status panel confirmed his success. His Thunder Rush Fist was listed as perfect. His next goal was to earn martial values to break through to the rank of a true martial artist, and he wondered if sparring would be enough to earn them. Su Hong arrived at his workplace, the Raging Thunder Dojo. Inside, he saw a purple-haired youth named Li Yan berating and kicking another student. A friend explained that Li Yan was the disciple of a new, powerful instructor who was arrogant and taught his classes with disdain for the common students. Su Hong stepped in, stopping Li Yan's attack. Angered by the interference, Li Yan challenged Su Hong to a one-on-one fight in the arena, a challenge Su Hong calmly accepted. Their confrontation was cut short by the arrival of the new instructor, who announced that class was starting. Li Yan told Su Hong he was lucky and backed off, while Su Hong noted his opponent's arrogance. The instructor, Li Yan's master, declared he would only demonstrate the Raging Sea Spear technique once. Li Yan scoffed, believing it was impossible to learn from a single viewing. Su Hong, however, focused intently, absorbing the movements. After the brief demonstration, the instructor left the students to practice. While most were confused, Su Hong understood the technique's core principle. The spear must flow with the momentum of endless waves. He picked up a spear and began to practice, his movements fluid and precise. The other students watched in awe, whispering about what a martial arts prodigy he was. From a distance, Li Yan was shocked, unable to believe Su Hong had actually learned the technique so quickly. A friend warned Su Hong to be careful, as Li Yan was very strong. Undeterred, Su Hong approached Li Yan and asked for a match. Intrigued, Li Yan decided to test Su Hong's true ability, offering to give him some pointers. He attacked with a micro-level Raging Sea Spear technique, but Su Hong effortlessly countered, unleashing a proficient-level version of the very same skill. Li Yan was left completely stunned, unable to comprehend how his opponent had surpassed him in an instant. In a burst of pure martial skill, Su Hong defeats an opponent far stronger than himself. His system immediately confirms the win and rewards him with 35 martial points. Across from him, Li Yan collapses to the ground, stunned and unable to accept what just happened. He cannot understand how someone could bring the Raging Sea Spear technique to a proficient level in such a short time. The scene shakes him deeply, making him question the value of his own years of harsh training. As Li Yan's frustration reaches its breaking point, an instructor steps in at once, sharply scolding Li Yan for refusing to accept defeat and questioning his mindset as a martial artist. Clearly impressed, the instructor points out that Su Hong learned the technique simply by watching a single demonstration. Turning to Su Hong, he explains that Li Yan's arrogance led to his loss and that being defeated by a true genius will serve as an important lesson. He then sincerely apologizes for his students' poor behavior. Su Hong watches quietly, noting how quickly the instructor's attitude changed once his talent was revealed. On the way home, Su Hong reflects on the exhausting yet rewarding day. He opens his status screen and confirms his information. Name, Su Hong. Vitality, 91.7. The Raging Sea Spear technique now shows as proficient, and he has 35 unused martial points. His thoughts shift to the upcoming school exams. He knows that wealthier students have already bought high-grade alloy weapons. Since he enjoyed using the spear, he decides he will need to buy an alloy version as well. A quick search crushes his hope. A single alloy weapon costs a shocking 69,800. His savings are not even enough to cover his aunt's medical expenses, let alone such a purchase. Just as he begins to feel helpless, his gaze lands on a public notice. The city lord is recruiting martial artists to hunt the growing number of ferocious beasts in the Star City wilderness, with generous rewards offered. An idea immediately forms in his mind. He will hunt beasts outside the city. When Su Hong gets home, he finds his aunt and uncle inside. His aunt is carefully tending to his uncle's injuries, worried about why he keeps working so hard when Su Hong has already given them money. His uncle insists that Su Hong is still young and that they cannot rely entirely on him. He wants to save for Su Hong's future while he still has the strength to work. Su Hong greets them warmly. Although his aunt urges him to rest, he tells his uncle that he can earn money now and that his uncle should stay home to recover and take care of her. His uncle is clearly touched but says he cannot bring himself to do nothing. Su Hong reassures them that he is only earning a small amount for daily expenses and will not push himself too hard. His uncle reminds him that martial arts training is costly and that they want to support him as much as they can. Deeply moved by their selflessness and unwilling to see them harm their health, Su Hong becomes even more determined. He knows he cannot miss the opportunity to hunt beasts. Understanding how dangerous the wilderness is, Su Hong realizes he must strengthen himself first. Without hesitation, he spends all 35 martial points on vitality. He watches the number rise steadily until it reaches 95.2. 2 days later, late at night, Su Hong lies exhausted on the floor of the empty school gym. His status screen shows that every one of his techniques, from the Raging Sea Spear to the Void Step, has reached the perfection stage. His vitality now stands at 95.3. He knows he is only one step away from becoming a true martial artist. It took 2 full days of relentless training, but now that his preparations are complete, it is time to move forward. On Saturday, Su Hong stands in front of the Star City martial artist base. He did not expect it to be so far from the city center. After seeing it countless times on television, he is finally here in person. He is stunned by the sheer number of martial artists gathered, a rare sight in Star City. He walks up to the bounty board and studies the rewards. An unranked beast earns 300 blue star coins, with higher-tier beasts offering much more. One important detail stands out. To claim a reward, the hunter must present the beast's left ear as proof. Nearby, he watches another hunter hand over a heavy bag filled with ears at the settlement counter. Suddenly, the crowd stirs as guards force people aside, shouting for everyone to make way for young Master Yi. A flamboyantly dressed young man strides through with an arrogant air. Su Hong observes his clothes and attitude, which remind him of fighters from underground arenas. The martial artists around him whisper among themselves, calling Yi a show-off and saying that if his uncle were not the base director, he would have been dealt with long ago. Someone mentions hearing that Yi was beaten recently and that he had it coming, explaining why he had not been seen for a while. Watching all this, Su Hong comes to a sobering realization. Beasts are not the only danger in the wilderness. Humans can be just as dangerous. He resolves to stay alert. As he approaches the gate leading outside the city, a guard notices his young age and asks if this is his first time going out alone. Su Hong admits that it is. The guard sneers inwardly, thinking he is just another reckless and ignorant kid. Stepping into the dense forest, Su Hong silently promises himself that he will return with a full harvest. However, after 2 hours of searching, he finds nothing at all. Frustrated, he wonders if the beasts in the outer area have already been wiped out and decides to push deeper into the wilderness. His choice quickly proves right. Before long, he comes face to face with a massive wolf covered in white fur, its red eyes glowing with menace. Su Hong recognizes it instantly from his studies. A Tier 1 initial stage beast, the Nether Moon Wolf. This is his first time seeing one in real life. With a chilling howl, the beast launches itself straight at him. A red-eyed, white-furred beast suddenly lunged forward. It moved fast, feral and violent, but the warrior didn't retreat. He stepped in and met the attack head-on, driving his fist straight into the beast's strike. Golden energy flared around his hand. The punch landed cleanly. The force exploded outward, a shock wave ripping through the beast's body and sending it flying back. The man stood where it fell, a faint smile tugging at his lips. The rush was better than he'd expected. Fighting ferocious beasts felt addictive. His hand trembled slightly, not from fear, but excitement. He realized just how far he'd come. A Tier 1 initial stage beast, defeated in a single move. He couldn't help wondering how he'd fare against something stronger. Almost on cue, a heavy presence emerged from the shadows, a raging black bear, a Tier 1 middle stage ferocious beast. The fight barely lasted a moment. One clash, one decisive blow, and it was over. Standing over the fallen bear, his hands still glowing faintly, he felt confident. At his current level, Tier 1 beasts weren't much of a threat anymore. As long as he didn't provoke anything Tier 2, he figured he'd be safe. He pulled out a knife and secured the reward from the kill, already thinking ahead. The system informed him that his accumulated martial value was enough to upgrade his rank. This was it, he could finally break through and become a true martial artist. Later, while resting, a sudden surge of energy swept through the area. He frowned, wondering what kind of beast could give off an aura like that. Curiosity won out. He moved fast, leaping through the forest canopy toward the source. Then he stopped. His eyes locked onto the scene ahead. Looming before him was a massive, dark-scaled serpent, a black jade giant python, a Tier 1 late-stage ferocious beast. Nearby, another warrior was flung aside like a ragdoll, smashed into the ground by the python's overwhelming strength. The man didn't get back up. The warrior watched grimly as the brutality unfolded. Then he moved. Launching himself off a rock, he shot straight toward the giant snake. His kick landed in a blur, smashing into the python's head with terrifying speed. The massive creature reeled back, its head snapping away from the impact. Blood splattered across the dusty ground. Behind him, the first warrior lay still, his chest pierced, life already gone. The hero landed and coughed, wiping blood from his mouth. He steadied himself, then glanced at the fallen man. He muttered that he'd borrow the spear for a moment and picked it up. Weapon in hand, he faced the towering python, fully alert now. The serpent lunged, jaws wide, fangs flashing. He didn't back down. Holding his ground, spear raised defensively, he remembered that beasts at this level usually required several martial artists working together. But he also remembered how easily he'd crushed that middle-stage bear. And that made all the difference. The hero held his ground as the massive python lunged at him, quickly judging the situation. With his current strength, he knew he could fight the black jade giant python head-on. He didn't hesitate. Activating his perfected void step, he slipped past the serpent's snapping jaws and reappeared above it, perfectly positioned to counter. He drove the spear down, pouring energy into it as he unleashed the raging sea spear technique. Blue, water-like energy surged along the shaft, and the spearhead punched through the thick scales on top of the python's head. The beast let out a deafening roar, pain rippling through its massive body. As the serpent thrashed violently, the warrior moved with it, sprinting along its huge, coiling form as if it were solid ground. He forced himself to stay balanced, blue energy swirling around him as he tightened his grip on the spear. His expression hardened. One more hit, he decided. Drawing in a deep breath, he flooded the spear with even more power. A roaring vortex of blue energy spiraled down the weapon as he struck again. The blow landed, carving a second wound into the python's head. Enraged, the giant serpent went berserk, smashing the ground and shaking the clearing as it flailed. The sheer difference in size meant he couldn't finish it in a single decisive blow. Staring at the raging beast, he adjusted his plan. He'd weaken it bit by bit, then wait for the right opening to end it, as he prepared a new move, Thunder Rush. After landing another successful strike, he immediately jumped back, widening the distance between them. From a safer position, spear raised, his approach became clear. Wait for an opening, strike fast, then disengage before the python could retaliate. He was breathing hard now. Fighting like this was exhausting, he admitted to himself, but it kept him alive. The python didn't look much better. It growled low and furious, its movements slower, its wounds adding up. He figured a few more clean maneuvers would be enough to bring it down. Raising his spear again, he braced himself and silently urged the beast to come at him once more. Then something felt wrong. A sudden noise behind him made his head snap to the side. His eyes widened as he demanded to know who was there. Before he could react, laughter rang out from above. A man dropped from the trees, his fist glowing with violent red energy. The hero barely had time to cross his arms before the punch landed. The force slammed into him and sent him skidding across the ground. He coughed hard as he pushed himself up to his knees, struggling to catch his breath. Looking up, he froze. Several hostile figures stood in front of him, blocking his path. He questioned who they were. A man in a trench coat stepped forward, a smug smile on his face. He casually remarked that they were meeting again and suggested, almost politely, that the hero hand over the black jade giant python. The group stood facing him, the wounded black jade giant python coiled weakly behind them. Their leader, young Master Yi, looked amused. He mocked the hero openly, saying he'd watched him leave the city alone and had fully expected him to die somewhere out in the wilderness. With a smug grin, Yi gestured toward the injured serpent. He clearly believed the hero had just gotten lucky, stumbling upon a heavily wounded black jade giant python and trying to claim credit for it. Hearing that, the hero quickly pieced things together. These people had arrived late. They hadn't seen the fight at all. One of the larger, more muscular henchmen stepped forward. He told the hero to get lost, saying young Master Yi had already decided the python was his. The hero swept his gaze over them. 5 opponents, all martial artists. Outnumbered like this, he knew a direct fight wouldn't end well. Still, he let out a short, dismissive laugh. Red energy flickered around his fist as he mocked the idea that his earlier blow had just been a sneak attack, openly questioning whether they truly believed he couldn't take them on. Then he moved. His punch shot forward, wrapped in terrifying red energy. The blow slammed into the henchman and sent the big man staggering backward. Young Master Ye's expression shifted instantly. He recognized the technique, Vajra Fist, and he identified the hero as the infamous Minotaur. The hero blinked in surprise at being recognized, briefly registering the name, White Fox, in his mind. He raised a hand to his mouth, fury burning behind his eyes. He declared that the hero was the first person who had ever humiliated him so badly in front of others. The hero grabbed the spear and turned, sprinting straight into the forest. He didn't hesitate for even a second before shouting the order to kill him, pointing sharply in his direction as his men rushed after him. They chased him into the dense woods, branches whipping past as visibility dropped fast. Before long, they lost sight of him entirely. One of the men warned the others to stay alert. The terrain was perfect for an ambush. Another scoffed, brushing it off, questioning why they should be afraid of a single person. That was when it happened. The hero burst out of the shadows in a blur, slamming into the dismissive henchman from the side. Before anyone could react, his glowing eyes shifted to the next target. He moved again, impossibly fast, cutting down a second pursuer in one clean motion. The body hit the ground hard, lifeless. Young Master Yi stared in disbelief. He couldn't process that kind of speed. One of the remaining men shouted in panic, recognizing the technique. He called it the Nine Echoes Thunder Rush Fist, perfected to a level even Tier 3 martial artists struggled to reach. He dropped from the trees without warning, striking another henchman from behind. The body tumbled across the ground and landed right at the feet of young Master Yi and his last remaining subordinate. The final subordinate panicked, begging Yi to leave immediately. He insisted the hero was far too strong to deal with. Yi didn't even consider it. He angrily dismissed the idea of retreat, staring into the forest with bloodshot eyes. He declared that no matter what, he would kill the hero today. From the shadows, the hero watched him closely. The hero moved without hesitation, striking down the last remaining henchman. When it was over, young Master Yi stared at the scene in disbelief, fury twisting his face. He cursed under his breath, unable to wrap his head around how the hero had grown this strong in just a few days. The hero suddenly vanished from Ye's sight. He spun around instantly, only to find empty air behind him. Before he could relax, the hero reappeared again at his back, already poised to strike, but this time, Yi reacted a split second faster. He turned sharply and launched an attack of his own. Fury twisted Ye's face as blue energy erupted around him. He flatly refused to accept that he could lose here, forcing his power upward. With a sharp gesture, he extended a finger and fired a concentrated beam of blue energy, his void-breaking finger. The hero barely managed to deflect the blast with the spear. He didn't stop. He snarled and unleashed a non-stop barrage. Explosions tore through the forest. Trees shattered, dirt blasted upward, and the hero was forced on the defensive, constantly parrying and dodging as energy beams detonated around him. Even while being pushed back, he stayed focused, quickly judging the technique's strength. From the sheer output alone, he figured it had to be a B-rank skill. He pointed at the hero and screamed that he'd memorized his face. If the hero dared hurt him any further, Yi vowed he'd wipe out his entire family. That threat landed wrong. The hero's expression went cold, all warmth draining from his eyes. In the next instant, the hero closed the distance between them. He yelled that his uncle was a supervisor at the martial artist base, that his father was a powerful figure, anything to survive. It didn't help. In a flash, the hero appeared right in front of him, red energy blazing around his fist. He remarked flatly that Yi had been more tolerable when he was acting superior. The punch came down like a verdict. Ye's body crumpled and crashed to the ground, broken and defeated. The hero stood over him, breathing hard, red energy still rolling off his body. He stated coldly that Yi never should have dragged his family into it. Barely conscious, blood pooling beneath him, Yi looked up in disbelief. He stammered that it was impossible, that the hero wasn't even a full martial artist. The black jade giant python's tail slammed down with crushing force, ending him instantly. The hero turned away and looked back toward the serpent. He'd spent too long dealing with the intruders. The giant python had fully recovered its stamina. In the forest clearing, the masked follower stared at his injured companion on the ground. He muttered to his partner that this kid was seriously not right. The other follower asked nervously where young Master Yi was, and if he had finished the job. Before they could speculate further, a rustle from the trees made the masked man turn sharply. The masked follower called out that he had finally decided to show himself. He lifted his weapon, adding that he wouldn't go easy on him. But Hiro was already on the move, spear in hand. He shouted for them to get out of the way as he shot forward like an arrow. The reason for his urgency became horrifyingly clear a second later. A monstrous snake burst from the undergrowth. The snake struck fast, its jaws snapping around one follower. A terrible scream was cut short. Almost instantly, a blue system screen flickered in Hiro's vision, reporting that an opponent had been indirectly eliminated and awarding him 30 martial value. Before anyone could react, the creature's heavy tail whipped around, crushing another follower. He thought to himself, stunned, that he could get points like that. Not sticking around to find out more, Hiro took off, sprinting deeper into the woods. As he leaped from branch to branch, his mind raced. His martial value was now high enough. Finally, he could break through and become a true martial artist. Perched high in a tree, he scanned the area. He needed a quiet, secure spot for his breakthrough. His eyes landed on a cave entrance halfway up a rocky cliffside. That looked perfect. He didn't get far. As he approached the dark opening, the same giant red-headed snake lunged out with a furious roar, trapping him inside the cavern. Hiro faced the beast, his back to the cave wall. A blue system interface materialized in front of him, displaying his details. It showed his name as Su Hong and his martial value as 504. No time to waste. Hiro focused and mentally hit the breakthrough command on the screen. He urged himself to go faster. A red aura suddenly erupted around him, waves of heat rolling off his body like he was filled with molten rock. His vitality skyrocketed. His vitality reached 100. Then, a brilliant notification appeared stating he had broken through to a Tier 1 martial artist. He said to the cave air that he was now a real martial artist. He turned his gaze back to the giant snake, his eyes gleaming. He announced that it was his turn. He shot forward, his fist already glowing with a fierce red light. The punch connected with the snake's snout. Energy pooled in his free hand. He growled the beginning of a command, "Get," as he raised the spear high. Blue, lightning-like energy crackled down its length. He yelled down as he brought the weapon crashing onto the snake's body in an explosion of blue force. As the dust settled, Hiro clenched his fist. Golden, crackling electricity surrounded it, buzzing with raw power. He announced his next attack, Thunder Rush Fist, and drove his energized fist down toward the wounded beast with a final, decisive blow. The snake's pained roar echoed through the cave as the attack landed. Hiro stood on the giant snake's body in the misty clearing, spear in hand. Even though the beast had already been hurt, he felt a surge of confidence knowing he could now face something like that straight on. A soft chime in his mind confirmed his victory, adding 92 martial value to his total. Sitting down on the scaled carcass, he remembered the usual rule: cut off the left ear to trade for coin. He stared at the snake's head, then sighed. Right. Snakes don't have ears. Well, no helping it. He decided he'd better just get moving and headed out of the rocky clearing, leaving the massive body behind. Walking through the sun-dappled forest with his spear slung over his shoulder, he eventually came across another body, this one with blonde hair. It was young Master Yi. Hiro looked down at him. "You got off easy," he said quietly. Crouching, he began to search the young master's belongings. His main hope was finding that high-level martial technique Yi had used in their fight. His fingers closed around a small, unmarked black book. Could this be it? The void-breaking finger? Later that night, back in the shelter of a cave with a small campfire crackling, Hiro studied the book intently. He'd committed the introductory method to memory. Now it was time to let the system do its work. In the familiar blue, data-stream space of his mind, he sat cross-legged. "Come on," he urged. A glowing, translucent copy of himself materialized before him. Together they moved through the intricate forms. "Void-breaking finger," Hiro called out in the mental space. Streaks of light followed his movements as the system text flashed, tracking his progress. 51%. 78%. 93%. Back in the physical world, by the fire, a blue notification settled in his vision. Void-breaking finger, basic 1%. Hiro doubled over, coughing. Even at the basic level, a B-rank skill put an incredible strain on his body. 3 days later, a thunderous howl echoed through the trees. A huge, red-eyed ape monster slammed its fists against the ground. Perfect, Hiro thought. He needed something to test his new power on. He darted forward, energy focusing at his fingertip. The technique felt smooth, powerful. As the ape monster fell, Hiro stood amidst the settling dust, his fingers still glowing with a faint blue energy. He'd reached the perfect realm. The system confirmed it. Void-breaking finger, mastered-void-breaking finger, perfect. The power was absolutely worthy of a B-rank skill. The martial artist base was in an unusual state of quiet when he arrived. Inside, the main hall was buzzing. A crowd watched as one man at the counter collected a hefty payout of 230,000 blue star coins, murmurs of admiration rippling through the onlookers. Another group, the Thunder Squad, was being praised for their haul of Tier 1 beasts. When it was Hiro's turn, he hoisted a large, heavy bag onto the counter. The woman working there peered inside, and her eyes went wide. She started counting, her voice rising with disbelief as she announced the total. 406,000 blue star coins from 72 initial stage, 83 middle stage, and 17 high stage Tier 1 beasts. A cold sweat prickled on Hiro's neck. He'd gotten carried away. This was way too much attention. Before he could even leave the counter, a commotion erupted outside. Official vehicles screeched to a halt, blockading the base entrance. The crowd around him stirred, everyone turning to look. Was the base under attack? People whispered, noting the high-level martial artists now stationed at every exit. A stern-looking man in a suit, identified by the system as Yi Chi, base person in charge, and Yi Feng's uncle, barked orders to his subordinates. "Seal the area. No one gets out." A brave soul from the crowd called out, asking what was going on. Yi Chi's face twisted with fury. His nephew Yi Feng and his entire group of 4 martial artists were all dead, he shouted. A shocked silence fell, then broke into frantic murmurs. Yi Feng was killed? His whole squad wiped out? Nearby, 2 men whispered to each other. "Good riddance," one said. "We've all been robbed by that crew." Finally, someone took out the scourge. Yi Chi, followed by an assistant, pushed through the crowd. He made a chilling announcement. A B-rank martial skill was missing from his nephew's body. Every martial artist present would be searched. Hiro stayed in the middle of the crowd, keeping his expression neutral. The bodies had been mauled by that giant python. There shouldn't be a trail leading back to him. As he began to move with the flow of people, he couldn't shake the feeling. Were they already targeting him? Suddenly, Yi Chi himself was there, his gaze locking onto Hiro. "I heard a little brother here killed 400,000 worth of beasts all by himself," Yi Chi said, his voice carrying over the murmurs. "Your skills must be truly amazing." Su Hong noticed his path was blocked, and a man in a sharp suit stepped forward, flanked by a few rough-looking thugs. The man's face carried a polite sort of menace as he spoke, mentioning the rumors about Su Hong's recent solo hunt and the fortune in beast cores he was said to have gained. But the thugs weren't convinced. They looked at Su Hong like he was just some low-level fighter, a novice who could never have pulled off such a feat to them. He was nothing more than a thief who probably took the missing young Master Ye's backpack. The thugs tried to grab him, but Su Hong moved faster than their eyes could follow, his weapon appearing in a blur. He spoke coolly, reminding them he was a student at the elite Xingqian No. 1 high school and daring them to touch him. The leader hesitated, caught between anger over his nephew's stolen martial art and the risk of provoking a potential prodigy from the top academy. Trying another approach, the man offered 10,000 as compensation for the search. Su Hong stayed calm, knowing his secrets were safe with Yifeng Gan, claimed by a monstrous python in the wild. He countered, asking for 3 times the offer. With no other choice, the man agreed. Su Hong even encouraged them to be thorough to avoid being wrongly accused. The search turned up nothing, but just as Su Hong was about to leave with the money, the leader called him back, insisting no one could leave until he was fully satisfied. By the time the man finished speaking, Su Hong had vanished into the city. Thinking about his next move, a quick shower and then a visit to the Warriors Association to test his rank and get the guidance technique. Alone in the room, Su Hong pulled up his internal status screen, a holographic display floating before him. He had 534 martial arts points, the result of relentless training and brutal encounters. His chi and blood value was 103, just enough to be a first-tier martial artist. The next stage required 200 points, and with his accumulated points, he could almost reach it in one step. But his attention turned to 2 stats he'd never touched before: spirit and mortal body. Curious about their potential, he started allocating points into spirit, watching the number climb with no immediate effect. Then he focused on mortal body, eager to see what evolution it might bring. The Warriors Association proving grounds were buzzing with energy. A promising young fighter, a disciple of the famous Jiang Ming, had just finished his test with a combat power of 1763, enough to nearly be a mid-tier warrior. The crowd admired him, and he turned to the next challenger, Su Hong, with obvious disdain. For him, testing at that age meant genius, but Su Hong? He was probably average at best. Su Hong stepped up to the chi and blood detector. The screen lit up at his touch, showing a reading of 123. The hall went silent. People whispered and questioned whether the machine was broken. Even the arrogant disciple's confident face faltered, and the proctor double-checked before announcing, clearly surprised, that Su Hong had passed. The disciple muttered that raw life force meant nothing, insisting combat power was the real measure. All eyes turned to Su Hong as he approached the combat assessment pillar. Inside, he remained calm, calculating. His recent upgrades had given him a huge boost in strength, and though he considered holding back, he decided to use about half of his true power. He struck, and the air itself seemed to react. The punch hit the pillar like an explosion. The multi-ton testing machine ripped from its moorings and smashed into the far wall. The crowd couldn't process what had just happened. This wasn't a test, it was pure destruction. Some whispered, some shouted. Nobody could believe that a first-stage novice had just shattered a high-tier benchmark with one casual punch. In the crowd, the man from the alley watched, pale and shocked. His subordinate pointed, stammering. The leader's eyes widened as realization hit. "It's him," he said quietly. "That explains everything." Meanwhile, across the city, Wu Linxian, president of the Star City Martial Arts Association, had been fuming over the lack of local talent. Her office door burst open, and an assistant delivered frantic news. A first-stage novice had just punched the testing machine into scrap metal, showing a combat power over 3,000. Wu Linxian's frustration instantly turned to sharp focus. Her city finally had its genius. Inside the main hall of the Martial Artists Association, a male staff member walked up to Su Hong and politely explained that there was a process to follow. He would need to head to the second floor first, get officially registered as a martial artist, and only then receive his monthly allowance. Su Hong gave a quiet thanks and was about to move, when a cool, commanding voice cut in, saying she would handle it herself. The staff member immediately straightened, clearly aware of who had spoken. From the second-floor balcony stood a woman with long golden hair. Her eyes landed on Su Hong as she calmly confirmed his name, then introduced herself as Wu Linxian, the president of the Star City Martial Artists Association branch. With a simple gesture, she told him to come along. Su Hong followed without hesitation, though inwardly he was surprised. He hadn't expected the association's president, someone rumored to be a Tier 5 martial artist, to feel so overpowering just by standing there. Once inside her office, Wu Lingxian casually asked if he studied at Star City No. 1 High School. She mentioned that old man Liang had complained before, saying the school had only produced 2 average Tier 1 martial artists this year. What no one realized, she said, was that an exceptional talent had been quietly sitting among them the whole time. Su Hong felt more puzzled by the minute. He explained that he'd only come to register, collect his allowance, and pick up a guidance technique. Wu Lingxian brushed that aside. His ID and allowance were already taken care of downstairs. As for the guidance technique, she said she would teach him personally. Standing in front of him, she asked how much he understood about guidance technique. Su Hong answered honestly, repeating what the textbooks taught, that heavenly and earthly spiritual keys had different attributes, and guidance techniques were used to absorb them and strengthen the body, as long as the attributes matched. Wu Lingxian smiled slightly and said the explanation wasn't wrong, just incomplete. Guidance techniques weren't limited to cultivation alone. As she demonstrated her heavenly fire guidance technique, a flame appeared in her palm, growing stronger until blazing fire wrapped around her fist. She explained that it absorbed fire attribute spiritual keys, reinforced the body, and could directly enhance attacks with fire-based power. Once the attribute could be released outward, the range and impact of attacks increased dramatically. With a smooth motion, she sent a stream of fire forward before casually adding that most martial artists considered it impressive if their attacks carried even a faint trace of attribute power. Su Hong reevaluated everything he thought he knew. He'd always believed guidance techniques were strictly for absorption. None of the books mentioned combat use. Wu Lingxian continued, explaining that heavenly and earthly spiritual keys carried 7 attributes: mental, wood, water, fire, earth, lightning, and wind. Each had different strengths, with lightning leading in raw offensive power, followed by mental and fire. But in the end, what mattered most was compatibility. She picked up a red crystal from her desk and explained that it was used to measure compatibility. The brighter it glowed, the higher the match. Most martial artists fell around 20 to 30%. Even her own 80% was considered exceptional. Given his talent, she expected him to surpass 90. Su Hong accepted the crystal, thinking that if someone like her had reached Tier 5 with 80%, then 70 would already be impressive for him. The crystal answered immediately. A brilliant red glow filled it almost completely, lighting up the office. Wu Lingxian stared in disbelief as the result became clear: perfect fire attribute compatibility. She explained quickly that this meant he could absorb fire spiritual keys with no loss at all. By comparison, her own absorption wasted 20% every time. That alone placed his potential far beyond hers. She admitted she never imagined Star City could produce someone on par with the top talents from the Imperial Capital or Magic City. As Su Hong looked at the crystal, another thought crossed his mind. Fire was strong, but lightning suited him better. The crystal reacted again, this time bursting with a dazzling golden glow. After a brief pause, Su Hong quietly noted that his lightning compatibility also appeared to be perfect. Wu Lingxian struggled to process it. Dual attributes, both flawless. Before she could fully react, the crystal continued responding. Wind followed, then the others. One after another, every attribute reached the same result. 7 attribute. All perfect. Wu Lingxian sank into her chair, her past achievements suddenly feeling distant. She remembered being praised as a top genius herself, reaching Tier 5 before 30. But standing in front of someone who broke every rule, she realized how different the gap truly was. For Su Hong, 7 perfect attributes felt both like a gift and a weight. Giving up any of them seemed unbearable, so he asked for copies of all 7 guidance techniques. Wu Lingxian reacted sharply, warning him that human energy was limited. Even the most gifted martial artists usually focused on 1 or 2 attributes. She recalled someone who tried to cultivate all 7 and never advanced past Tier 1, even after decade. Su Hong didn't argue. He simply said he wasn't ready to choose yet. He wanted to try first. After a moment, Wu Lingxian agreed, reminding him not to waste such rare talent. She then brought up the upcoming monthly school exam. With tensions rising at the all-heaven battlefield, and the threat of war with the 10,000 races looming, nations were pouring resources into a genius training camp. She planned to recommend him. If he took first place in the school exam, he'd qualify automatically. Hearing about the 10,000 races stirred memories from over a decade ago, when Su-hong lost everyone except his uncle and aunt. His resolve settled firmly. He would become stronger. That kind of loss would never happen again. When he returned home, he excitedly told his uncle and aunt that he was now an official martial artist. Their reactions were immediate: joy, relief, and emotion all at once. He explained that a Tier 1 martial artist received a monthly allowance of 10,000, meaning his uncle no longer had to push himself to exhaustion. They called him the family's support. Su-hong took a steady breath. From this point on, they were protected. That night, just past midnight, he tested the guidance technique. Sitting quietly, he circulated his energy. His eyes glimmered faintly as he punched forward. A small flicker formed around his fist, but instead of fire, only thin smoke drifted out. He frowned. This felt far weaker than expected. Then a notification appeared, confirming that he had successfully learned the guidance technique. Checking the details, he saw it was only level 1. That was when a new idea took shape. If guidance techniques had levels, then maybe this was something only he could push far beyond its limit. Su-hong stared at the system interface, still unable to wrap his head around one thing: how guidance techniques were actually upgraded. He tried pouring martial value into it the same way he had done with his other skills. The system responded instantly with a warning saying his martial value wasn't enough. Seeing that, he didn't push further. There was no point forcing it. He reasoned that it made more sense to slow down, focus on cultivation first, fully grasp every guidance technique, and then worry about earning more martial value later. With his plan set, he settled into cultivation. He worked on all the guidance techniques at once. Almost immediately, a fierce, blazing aura burst out from his body. Hours passed in silence. One after another, the Thunder Guidance Technique, Water Marsh Guidance Technique, Thick Earth Guidance Technique, and Spirit Wind Guidance Technique all reached level 1. Inside him, 7 different spiritual keys now existed together. The problem showed itself right away. The energies didn't cooperate. They pushed against each other aggressively. At that moment, Su-hong finally understood what President Wu had warned him about. There really had been geniuses in the past who tried cultivating 7 techniques at once, and never moved beyond Tier 1. The energy inside his body turned violent. Pain spread as his veins stood out sharply and sweat streamed down his face. Even though all 7 attributes were present, he realized he could only activate 1 at a time. The instant he tried to use 2 together, the energies clashed, wiped each other out, and vanished. A red flame burst from his palm, lasting only a heartbeat before breaking apart. He focused again, and lightning surged instead. Su-hong narrowed his eyes. Fire and lightning were naturally close in nature. Could they really not be combined? He tried again. The result was the same. Annoyance crept in, but he didn't stop. He tried again. And again. Time slipped by unnoticed until the sky began to lighten. His breathing turned rough, his clothes soaked, his arms shaking from fatigue, but he kept going. Lightning surged once more. This time, he forcefully dragged the fire along with it. Energy exploded outward as he pushed through with everything he had. And finally, it worked. After an entire night of non-stop attempts, lightning and fire fused into a single force. Without wasting time, Su-hong decided to test it properly. He headed straight to the Star City Martial Arts Square. This time, he chose a Tier 3 combat power tester, not interested in repeating his past mistake of destroying equipment. Previously, using only half his strength, he had hit 3,000 combat power. Now, he limited himself to just 30%. He threw a punch. The number jumped past 2,300. Su-hong paused. By his estimate, it should have been closer to 1,800. That was nearly a 500-point difference. If pure lightning already gave results like this, what would happen when combined with fire? Energy gathered again in his palm. When he struck, the tester shook hard as the number shot past 3,000. A small smile appeared as he looked at his hand. With thunder fire combined and only 30% output, he had already surpassed a high-stage Tier 1 martial artist. And his vitality was only 123. That kind of potential felt overwhelming, and this was with just 2 attributes. His thoughts immediately jumped ahead. What if he combined all 7? Lightning crackled and flames swirled in his palm as he made his next decision. He would attempt 3 attributes next. Later, on the rooftop of his home, Su-hong lay flat, shirtless, staring at the sky. After countless intense attempts, he finally accepted the truth. Merging 3 attributes was far harder than merging 2, several times harder. No matter how he adjusted or experimented, there was no real progress. That was when the answer clicked. The issue wasn't his control. It was the level of his guidance technique. He checked the system again. All of them were still stuck at level 1. And the monthly exam was tomorrow. For now, what he needed most was more martial value. The next morning, Star City No. 1 High School was packed. Students filled every corner. The principal announced that today's exam would be different. Due to rising pressure on the front lines, a large-scale genius training camp was being set up to prepare for future conflict. The rewards were insane. Top-tier resources, martial arts manuals, pills, and even grandmasters as instructors. The top 3 students in this exam would earn a spot in Star City's training camp. The crowd erupted. A genius training camp. Someone whispered that one of the instructors was a Tier 7 grandmaster. That alone sounded unreal, especially when the principal himself was only Tier 3. Ambition lit up faces across the field. Su-hong focused on one detail only. Top 3. Ranking high wasn't enough. A friend moved up beside him and dropped some unexpected news. Shen Shan and Li Tu had both broken into Tier 1. Many students had reached the basic level of Thunder Rush Fist. Su-hong had been gone for 10 days, and during that time breakthroughs had piled up. There were even rumors of special training arranged by the principal. Shen Shan and Li Tu both had vitality over 100 now, and their Thunder Rush attacks produced 3 echoes. Shen Shan openly told Li Tu he'd prove who the real strongest was. Li Tu shot back that after slamming Shen Shan into the ground, he hoped the confidence would still be there. As the principal stepped down, an instructor asked quietly whether they had found the genius who used the 9-echo Thunder Rush Fist. The principal replied that he'd searched everywhere and believed that person wasn't a student here. Before the conversation could continue, a group approached. The man in front spoke with a mocking tone, asking why the principal looked so miserable. It was Zhang Ming. The principal frowned and asked what he was doing on campus. Zhang Ming casually replied that this year's students didn't look impressive and brought along 2 disciples, joking about sparring with the school's top students after the exam. The principal immediately understood. This was public humiliation. Refusing would only confirm weakness. Before he could answer, Zhang Ming added that he'd understand if the principal declined. After all, the students looked fragile. An instructor snapped back, asking if Zhang Ming was picking a fight. The exchange stopped abruptly when someone leaned in and whispered something to Zhang Ming, pointing toward the crowd. Zhang Ming followed the direction and spotted Su-hong standing calmly among the students, a faint smile on his face. Recognition hit instantly. So he really was from No. 1 High School. Zhang Ming cursed inwardly and gestured to his disciples. Facing that boy meant guaranteed loss. Rather than embarrass himself, he laughed it off, saying he'd only been joking. There was no competition at all. His disciples played along, pretending to back down. The principal and instructor were furious. Soon after, the exam officially began. The first match was announced. Number 665, Shang Peng, versus number 666, Su-hong. As they stepped onto the stage, Su-hong's friend grew nervous. Shang Peng was a quasi-martial artist known for raw strength. A teacher shouted a reminder not to push too hard. Injuries weren't worth it. Before the match even started, Shang Ping smirked and asked whether Su Hong planned to fall on his own or be slammed down. In the next moment, Su Hong disappeared. Before anyone could react, he appeared behind Shang Ping, grabbed him with one hand, and drove him straight into the floor. The arena went quiet. His friend and the teacher stared, swearing softly. They couldn't understand when Su Hong had reached this level. One move. Complete victory. As the dust settled, Su Hong stood alone at the center of the stage. Su Hong stood over his defeated opponent again, calm as ever. The crowd completely lost it. They shouted that Su Hong had won again, and asked how he was even that strong. Some of them started guessing that he might already be a Tier 1 martial artist. Excitement kept rising as people reminded each other that the next match would decide the champion. Up in the office, Principal Lee sat with Chun Tain, watching everything unfold. Chun Tain frowned and asked where this Su Hong had suddenly come from. He said he had been giving private tutoring before, yet Su Hong had never shown up in front of him. Principal Lee lowered his gaze and admitted it was his own failure. He said he should have discovered such a promising student earlier. By not giving Su Hong proper guidance sooner, he felt like he had almost buried real talent. Chun Tain looked thoughtful. He mentioned that Su Hong seemed familiar, like he had seen him somewhere before, but he just couldn't remember where. Soon, Principal Lee shifted the topic and said the semi-final between Chun Shan and Li Tu should be wrapping up with a winner any moment. Down in the arena, Chun Shan and Li Tu were locked in a fierce fight. Spectators commented that their strength looked almost identical, making it impossible to predict who would win. Li Tu suddenly prepared a heavy punch and told Chun Shan that since they both knew the Three Echoes Thunder Rush Fist, Chun Shan shouldn't even dream of winning without using his ultimate move. Chun Shan blocked it. Then Chun Shan's fist burst into flames. He told Li Tu to watch carefully and declared that he was the real number one in the school. The crowd gasped. Some shouted that Chun Shan could already perform attribute externalization, and that it was the fire attribute, second only to thunder in power. But Li Tu answered calmly, saying attribute externalization wasn't anything special. As he spoke, a blue aura wrapped around his fist. Spectators immediately reacted, saying Li Tu could use it too, and his was the metal attribute, known for even stronger combat power than fire. Li Tu then added that he had more to show. He unleashed the Five Echoes Thunder Rush Fist. The two clashed violently. Chun Tain observed that in just around 10 days, Li Tu had mastered attribute externalization and pushed his Thunder Rush Fist to the micro-level. He admitted Li Tu's talent was impressive. Principal Lee calmly said there was no need to even watch the final. With micro-level Thunder Rush Fist and the metal attribute, Su Hong had no way of beating Li Tuesday. He added that it was a pity. If Su Hong had learned a guidance technique and Thunder Rush Fist, he might have stood a chance. Off to the side, a man suddenly proposed a bet. He offered 50,000 that Su Hong would take first place and asked if Principal Lee and Chun Tain were interested. One of them called him crazy, pointing out that while Su Hong was strong, he didn't even know a guidance technique. What could he possibly use to win? The man laughed and said since they were so confident, he would gladly take their money. Soon, the final match was announced. Final match. Number 01 Li Tu versus number 666 Su Hong. The crowd roared, cheering for both sides. Li Tu looked at Su Hong and said he had been lucky. He hadn't run into Li Tu or Chun Shan earlier and had somehow made it to the finals. Su Hong stayed quiet, studying him. Li Tu then said that since Su Hong had made it this far, he could at least call himself number 2 in the school. Su Hong casually asked who number 1 was. Li Tu stepped forward and declared that number 1 was obviously him. He claimed he only needed one move to show Su Hong the gap between them. Without hesitation, Li Tu opened with the Five Echoes Thunder Rush Fist. The audience was stunned. They wondered if he really needed to go that hard right from the start. Some already declared it over, saying once that move came out, Su Hong had no chance. Su Hong's eyes sharpened. Flames gathered around his fist. He had originally wanted to test the limits of his physical strength. After hunting so many ferocious beasts, fighting students felt almost too easy. Li Tu was finally someone interesting. Instead of dodging, Su Hong stepped forward and met the attack head-on. People yelled that he had lost his mind and begged the referee to step in. The two fists collided in a blast of light. In the next instant, Su Hong threw 5 rapid punches and broke through Li Tu's 5 echoes Thunder Rush fist. Li Tu couldn't believe it. He realized Su Hong had dismantled his ultimate move with pure physical strike. Su Hong continued punching, each hit heavy and precise. Li Tu struggled to keep up, feeling the sheer weight behind every blow. Spectators shouted that Su Hong wasn't even using martial skills, yet he was matching Li Tu's 5 echoes Thunder Rush fist head-on. Others said Su Hong's strength was on another level and guessed he must have some kind of special physique. One teacher burst out laughing, saying the school had actually produced a genius with a special physique. Chen Tain narrowed his eyes and pointed out that while Su Hong's strength was shocking, Li Tu had already condensed an attribute. Su Hong still had no clear advantage. Li Tu slid back, then powered up again. He shouted at Su Hong not to get arrogant and insisted that only he could win. His fists glowed as he rushed forward. Su Hong had planned to keep testing his body alone, but seeing Li Tu go all out so quickly, he decided to respond properly. Electricity sparked around him. The crowd froze in shock as thunder gathered around Su Hong's fist. People started shouting that Su Hong could also use attribute externalization. Others were so stunned they could barely form words. They realized Su Hong had mastered the thunder guidance technique. A special physique plus the thunder attribute, the most aggressive of them all, made his talent overwhelming. The two attributes crashed against each other. Li Tu felt it instantly. Su Hong's thunder was even stronger than his metal. Su Hong calmly said that since Li Tu had shown his ultimate move, he would return the favor. This time, the exchanges were too fast to follow. When it ended, Li Tu was on the ground. He looked up in shock, realizing Su Hong had used 9 echoes. He couldn't understand how that was even possible. Su Hong stood over him quietly. For a moment, the audience had no words. Then someone shouted, asking if Su Hong had really won. The arena exploded with noise. People yelled that 9 echoes Thunder Rush fist was the perfect realm. Some even said Su Hong's Thunder Rush fist looked stronger than the teacher who taught it. Others declared that this wasn't just a genius, this was the dragon of Star City No. 1 High School. Chen Tain stared at Su Hong and muttered that 9 echoes shouldn't even be possible at this level. He suddenly wondered if Su Hong was the mysterious genius who had disappeared from school that day. He added that once someone like this entered the training camp, those so-called elites with powerful backgrounds would be in serious trouble. Standing alone in the ring, Su Hong said that a golden carp doesn't belong in a small pond. Once it meets wind and clouds, it becomes a dragon. In his heart, he knew Star City was just a small puddle to him. Principal Li smiled faintly. He believed that in the upcoming training camp, Su Hong would rise like a dragon from the depth. The Magic City, the Imperial Capital, even the battlefield of 10,000 races, those were the stages where someone like Su Hong would truly shine. By the time Su Hong got back to his old apartment building, the sun was already setting. His uncle had just finished making a simple dinner. Su Hong called out that he was home, and his uncle immediately asked how the exam went. With a grin, Su Hong said he'd taken first place in the monthly exam. His uncle stared at him for a second, then burst out in excitement. They were still celebrating when loud knocking suddenly hit the door. A woman's sharp voice came from the hallway, asking if this was Su Hong's home. Su Hong opened the door, confused. His uncle and aunt stood just behind him, peeking out cautiously. Outside stood a well-dressed woman covered in expensive jewelry. She introduced herself as Lin Nan's mother. She explained that only the top 3 students could enter the training camp. Her son had ranked 4th. Then she got straight to the point. She wanted Su Hong to give up his spot. She calmly pulled out a stack of cash and said she was offering 30,000 if he stepped aside. Su Hong and his family just looked at her. No one reached for the money. They looked more confused than tempted. When she saw that the cash wasn't working, her tone changed. She said the training camp was brutal and that people could die there. She added that with their poor background, it would be smarter to quit early. Other students, she claimed, had high-grade pills and resources that Su Hong could never afford. Her words made his aunt uneasy. She asked Su Hong quietly if it was really that dangerous. His uncle rubbed her back, trying to calm her down. Then he turned to Su Hong and seriously asked if he could truly promise he'd be safe. Su Hong stepped forward and said clearly that he could guarantee his own safety. The woman let out a mocking laugh and asked the uncle if he actually believed a kid's promise. His uncle didn't hesitate. He said Su Hong was grown now, and there was no way he'd trust a stranger over his own family. The door shut behind her. From the hallway, she shouted that they were just waiting to get eliminated at camp. Inside, things slowly settled. His uncle asked Su Hong if he had hidden how dangerous the camp was. Su Hong told them it wasn't a big deal and that he could handle it. His uncle gave him a big thumbs up. He admitted he was just an ordinary man, but if Su Hong had the courage to face something like this, then the family would back him all the way. Suddenly, his aunt smacked his uncle on the back, telling him to stop making it so dramatic. She said they didn't care about rankings or glory. They just wanted Su Hong safe. Su Hong nodded with a warm smile. Hearing that made him feel lighter. Later that night, he stood alone on the rooftop, looking over the city lights. He knew that even though his uncle and aunt said they supported him, they were still worried. He quietly promised himself he wouldn't let them down. If he wanted to protect their new life, he had to get stronger. He opened his system interface. He had gained 285 martial value points from the monthly exam, but it didn't feel like enough. His mortal body stat was at 36.1%. Thinking about the powerful geniuses at the training camp, he decided to focus on strengthening his body first. He started adding points to the mortal body stat. A red glow surrounded him as the percentage slowly climbed. When it stopped, steam rose from his body. His mortal body had reached 64.6%. Still far from 100%. He wondered what kind of special physique he would unlock once it was complete. Then he noticed something unexpected. Both his Thunder Guidance technique and Heavenly Flame Guidance technique had quietly advanced to level 2. He realized he'd only practiced them casually for a few days. Maybe there weren't any special requirements. Maybe steady practice alone was enough. Curious, he decided to try leveling them again right away. Lightning gathered in one hand. Flames burned in the other. He focused and began training through the night. By dawn, sunlight spread across the skyscrapers. Su Hong opened his eyes after a full night of cultivation. Fire and electricity swirled faintly around him. A notification appeared. Both techniques had successfully advanced to level 3. He checked his stats. His vitality had increased by 3 points, reaching 126. His mortal body remained at 64.6%, and his martial value points were completely used up. Later that morning, he stood outside the apartment building with his weapon over his shoulder, ready to leave for the training camp. His aunt looked at him anxiously and told him to stay safe. She added that if things didn't go well, he could always come home. His uncle quickly told her not to say things like that. He waved at Su Hong enthusiastically and told him to go win another first place. Su Hong smiled, agreed, and started walking down the quiet street. Once he was a distance away, his uncle's brave front faded. He stood there shaking slightly as he watched Su Hong leave. Tears streamed down his face. His aunt teased him, asking if he wasn't just as worried as she was. He admitted he was. He said he just didn't want Su Hong to carry their fear with him. Meanwhile, as Su Hong walked down the street, his senses picked up movement. A red sports car suddenly turned the corner and stopped sharply beside him. The window rolled down. President Wu Lingxian sat inside, wearing sunglasses. She told him to get in. Soon they were racing down the highway. Su Hong asked why she had come to pick him up personally. Without taking her eyes off the road, she said she had a few important reminders about the training camp. As president, she knew the details about the other participants. She told him that a few students were already Tier 1 high-stage martial artists and were close to Tier 2. Their martial skills were at least B rank. Su Hong listened calmly. He knew Tier 2 required 200 vitality points, which was a big gap from where he stood. Still, he wasn't worried. Even if they had B-rank skills, his system would let him learn high-level techniques quickly. Wu Lingxian continued, saying that while his talent was the best she'd ever seen, he lacked the resources those wealthy students had. She added that even if he failed at camp, he shouldn't feel discouraged. Surpassing them would just be a matter of time. Su Hong thanked her sincerely and called her sister Wu. She glanced at him briefly. Even after hearing about the gap between him and the others, he remained completely calm. She figured his mindset wouldn't be a problem at all. A black van winds through the treacherous curves of the Tianlin mountain range. Inside the vehicle, Li Tu and Chen Shan leans forward in shock, saying that the training camp is set in a place where ferocious beasts gather. Principal Li calmly tells him not to worry, explaining that a grandmaster oversees the camp and ensures there is no life-threatening danger. Su Hong looks out the window at the passing landscape. He knows the Tianlin mountain range stretches across multiple cities, including Star City and Yang City. Spiritual energy is dense there, and ferocious beasts are everywhere. Deep within the mountains hide beast kings comparable to Tier 7 grandmasters. Even a Tier 1 beast on the outskirts is far more dangerous than those found elsewhere, and ordinary Tier 2 martial artists would not dare to enter lightly. The van continues forward. In the forest shadows, several pairs of glowing red eyes track the vehicle's movement. Li Tu feels that gaze and wonders if an attack is coming. Su Hong remains steady, sensing how brutal this environment is. He understands that the training camp's competition will likely resemble the beast's constant slaughter. Holding onto his seat, he feels a small smile form as he realizes he actually enjoys this kind of atmosphere. The van arrives at a fenced clearing where dozens of students have already gathered near several tents. After getting out, Chen Shan wonders aloud how strong the other participants might be. The crowd is filled with martial artists carrying various weapons. Su Hong stands among them with his own weapon slung over his shoulder. An official in a gray suit stops them and tells everyone to wait until all participants arrive before the entrance assessment begins. Hearing about an assessment, Su Hong watches as several luxury vehicles drive into the camp. A red Rolls-Royce leads the group. Some students complain about the big families arriving late. As the newcomers step out, attention quickly shifts to them. Xiao Nan, known as a spirit master, appears alongside Lin Xinghe of the Lin family, who is rumored to be close to Tier 2. At the front stands the city lord's son, Wang Tiantuo, often called the barbarian god. He possesses a special physique and extremely high fire attribute compatibility. Su Hong studies them quietly, wondering if these are the top geniuses the president mentioned. A faint smile crosses his face as he waits to see what they can really do. The official steps forward and announces the rules. The training camp lies 30 kilometers deep within the Tianlin mountain range. Certain ferocious beasts carry special tokens inside their bodies, and only those who obtain a token can enter the camp. Everyone has 8 hours to reach the destination. Whispers spread through the crowd. Going that deep means encountering powerful beasts, and if something goes wrong, people could die. While many grow uneasy, Su Hong stays calm. In his view, 8 hours is more than enough time to hunt extra beasts and earn martial value. When someone asks what happens if they run into beasts far beyond their level, the official replies that they should consider themselves unlucky and eliminated, though rescue will eventually come. Complaints immediately erupt, with students arguing that the rules are unfair and depend too much on luck. The official's expression turns cold as he reminds them that the world is not a game. On the all-heavens battlefield, a stronger expert could kill them instantly, and no one would listen to protests. If they want to survive, they must act carefully. Overpowering the weak and winning through numbers are realities of the battlefield. A student in formal attire mocks the protesters, calling them trash who should quit early. An angry student points at him and challenges him to repeat it. The mocking student responds by calling him a coward and threatening to cripple him. The official interrupts and makes it clear that violence is forbidden inside the camp itself, but once they enter the mountains, there will be no interference. Snatching tokens or settling grudges is entirely up to them. The two hostile students continue glaring at each other. Watching all this, Su Hong quickly realizes that the camp is designed to push participants into fighting. By his estimate, more than half of them will be eliminated under these rules. Another thought surfaces in his mind. Fighting these students could bring him a huge amount of martial value. The official checks his device, which lets out a loud beep. He announces the start of the assessment and orders everyone to move. The students rush forward in a chaotic wave, disappearing into the dense forest of the Tianlin mountain range. Not far inside the woods, the rivalry between the suit-wearing student and his challenger finally explodes. The student in the suit mocks his opponent and tells him to come over if he wants to be sent rolling back home. His opponent, burning with anger, shouts that if he wants to be eliminated so badly, he will grant his wish. He rushes forward with a flaming fist and yells that he is finished. The suit-wearing student answers with a punch wrapped in cold blue energy. The two forces crash into each other, triggering a violent burst of light and wind that rips through the surrounding foliage. A rapid exchange follows as blue energy surges again and again, gradually overpowering the flames in a string of heavy impacts. High above on a thick tree branch, Su Hong stands quietly, watching the fight unfold. He had wanted to witness the strength of these so-called geniuses for himself, but what he sees leaves him disappointed. The clash is flashy, yet far from impressive. In his mind, even if he defeats them, the martial value gained would be minimal. After a brief glance, he turns away, planning to hunt stronger ferocious beasts instead. Below, the suited students start mocking his opponent, saying that a pauper will always remain a pauper, and questioning what hard cultivation can achieve compared to a family's long-term accumulation. His opponent angrily tells him to shut up and stop dragging working-class people into it. The suited student laughs and repeats the insult. The words make Su Hong pause mid-step. He slowly looks back. A faint smile forms on his face as a new idea settles in. He decides that this ready-made martial value should not be wasted. He drops from the tree and lands smoothly between the two fighters. Telling them to stop fighting, he speaks in a calm and steady tone. Both students stare at him in confusion. Standing there with a thick wooden club in hand, Su Hong casually suggests that they fight him instead. The suit-wearing student grows irritated and calls him another pauper, warning that he will end up beaten as well. The other student demands to know what level he is to dare interrupt their fight. Su Hong remains relaxed and tells them they misunderstood him. He proposes that they stop fighting each other and join forces to fight him together. The blatant provocation infuriates them. The first student yells that Su Hong is courting disaster and lunges forward with a punch. In the next instant, Su Hong moves. Before the attacker can adjust, Su Hong closes the distance and delivers a crushing strike that knocks the air from his lungs. The student is flung backward and collapses after a single exchange. The suit-wearing student immediately breaks into a cold sweat. Their strengths were similar, yet his companion was defeated in one move. He finally understands how terrifying Su Hong's speed is. In the blink of an eye, Su Hong appears directly behind him and quietly tells him it is his turn. The student stiffens. A heavy swing of the wooden club follows, slamming into the side of his head. Blood sprays outward as he is knocked off his feet and sent flying, losing consciousness before he even hits the ground.